Hi, I'm Shane, and here on TikTok, I just finished reading my high school diary entries 35 years to the day they were written. We are now in the summer after senior year, and this is your This Week in 1990 from July 19th to July 25th. On July 19th, I go water skiing with Wendy and her family and say that I ski well, but I do have one nasty fall. I go home after skiing and bake a cake for Finn for his birthday. While I am home, there's a bad storm and the power goes out, and Andy says, quote, "I'm a little scared, but not really," which is something we went on to say, I think, for quite a few years. I go up to the theater to bring Finn his cake. As you may know, if you're a regular listener, West Side Story ended, but there was always 2 shows each summer. And so the second show, although I had to reach out to Wendy and Finn to say, do you remember what it was 42nd Street. So they were currently rehearsing 42nd Street. I go up, bring the cake. He loves his cake. The show looks bad, and everyone at rehearsal is crabby about it. Then someone comes up to me and says that Gabby is backstage and she needs me. I write this. I asked, "Is she breathing really hard?" He said he didn't know, but sure enough, it was a picture-perfect Gabby Clinton attack. I had to take her home, and it was a total monsoon. I was very scared. Halfway there, she told me she couldn't breathe, and she collapsed. I was so scared. I was singing just to hear myself and talking out loud to no one. I thought she was gonna die. I really did. Her mom met us and took her inside. Her mom called me later to say thanks. But when I got back in my car, I just lost it. I was gasping for air. I was so scared. The rain subsides, I get back to my house, and shortly thereafter, Michael picks me up. I write, one of Michael's friends asked him to go to the Grateful Dead show on Monday. Then the guy goes, "You'd have to get a date." Michael goes, "Oh, I don't think I could manage," and looked at me. I said, "I'm going to the Sox game." It was great. We drive around making a half-hearted attempt to find Gus. We end up going back to my house and watching Heathers, which he likes. It's the first time he'd seen it. We make out a bunch, and I keep saying hilarious things, and he says, "You're a weird girl." I close this entry in all caps with the sentence, "Ice cream has no bones!" exclamation point. I have no idea what that means. And I texted Wendy, I'm like, "Do you remember why we said this?" Because I remember saying it, but I don't remember the meaning. And she's like, "I don't remember saying it." So maybe it was something between me and Michael. Don't know. On July 20th, I say that Michael has a cold, and now I do too. Work that night at Denny's sucks. I leave at 10 after midnight and go up to the theater where rehearsal is still going on. So I go home. I get home, change out of my uniform, Michael picks me up, and we go hang out with some of the show people, but I say it's dull. I say that Michael is so much bigger than me that he is fun to snuggle. The heights of the high school boyfriends. I'm gonna say Finn is 5'10", Steve is probably 6'3", and Dean was shorter than me, probably an inch shorter than me, maybe 5'6". So Michael was he's probably 6'1", but of broader shoulder. I write in the journal that I am thinking about whether or not I should have sex with him, but I probably shouldn't because we are both leaving town in a couple of weeks. On July 21st, I go with my family to my Uncle Bruce's for a family party, and his car is there, the car that I crashed. I actually didn't total it because it was fairly new and it was worth quite a lot of money, so the damage that I did was not enough for a total. I write this. I am at work now. I went out to Uncle Bruce's for a party with the fam. The Mustang looks amazing. There is not even a sign of an accident. That is so awesome. I say that I hate my job and I am putting in my notice tonight, but that I did get tipped $5 on a $30 check, and that is cool. I say that Daisy is in the hospital and that everyone, all the theater friends, are going to see her, and that I hope they come into Denny's to visit me afterwards. This wasn't super unusual because while Daisy didn't spend a ton of time in the hospital, she had kidney disease and she was on dialysis her whole life. Michael and Gabby do come into Denny's after visiting her, and I write this. Michael really likes me. He actually said, "You can come out and visit me next year. LA isn't that far from Omaha." I said, "It's a 24-hour drive." And he said to just think of it as one day. He asked when I was leaving, and I said August 18th. He said, "That's the day of my brother's wedding." I said, "I am moving in that day." He asked, "Do you start the next day?" I said, "No, not for 4 days, but I have to move in." He said, "You have to?" And I said, "Yes." If he was even going to ask me to the wedding, I would die. Unfortunately, I'm sure he is taking Kim the Bim. On July 22nd, I go over to Martin's house to get my goodbye gift, but he refuses to give it to me until August 17th. I write, I made butterscotch bits and went up to Macaulay around 7. Michael was there tromboning in the pit and drinking beers with Giovanni. Dave O'Brien was being a total pest. I had on Red Door and he kept smelling me, like putting his head in my neck and inhaling. Finally, Gus clocked him. One guy in the cast insists that we all go to Beverly Fox's after rehearsal, but we all say that it's closed. He says it's not. We go there and it is closed. So we go to El Gallo and get burritos. And at that time, there were not a million El Gallos all over the south side of Chicago. There were not a million burrito places. So that was like an excursion. On July 23rd, we go on a family bus outing to the White Sox game. My dad's cousin used to get a bus every year, and a bunch of us would get on it and go to the game. I say that it's fun. I get home at 11. I go up to 42nd Street rehearsal, but I don't feel great. I hang out there until 1, and then I just go home. On July 24th, Gabby and I visit Michael at work at Buster Brown, and I note that we talked about going to Great America tomorrow, but that plan has been canceled. Michael says he is going to call a friend to see if we can go boating with him tomorrow, and he mentions something about bringing me, and I say I am scared and I do not want to meet his friends. It's lame to end on this entry, but it's really short, and it's also on this weird insert paper. It says films, books, and music up the side, and then has that. It looks like it was torn out of a book that maybe you like filled your favorite, like one of those list-making books. I don't know where it came from. I say that I worked from 5 to 11, and it was oddly relaxing. I go up to rehearsal. After that, we all go to Gus's and watch West Side Story, and I get home at 3. It doesn't specify whether we watched the videotape of their only a few weeks old West Side Story production or the actual movie. I can only think that we watched the VHS of their production, because I don't think we would have spent more time with the movie when we had spent a lot of time with that material already over the summer. All right, that's a lame entry to end on, but I will see you all real soon. Take care.